Here is the complete Flavor Vault narration script for spaghetti allo Scoglio. Italy produces over 400 different types of pasta dishes, but only one has been described by Michelin-starred chefs as the single most technically demanding pasta a home cook can attempt. Not carbonara. Not cacio e pepe. Spaghetti allo Scoglio, a dish so rooted in Italian coastal tradition that getting it wrong is considered, in some southern Italian households, a genuine act of culinary disrespect. And the reason most people fail at it will genuinely surprise you. Tease in the next 10 minutes, you are going to discover exactly what spaghetti allo Scoglio is, where it comes from, and why it has been quietly beloved by Italian fishing communities for centuries while somehow remaining almost unknown to the rest of the world. You will learn the precise techniques that separate a mediocre version from an extraordinary one, and you will hear the one counterintuitive rule about seafood timing that even experienced cooks consistently get wrong. Stay until the end, because that single insight changes everything. Background: the name spaghetti allo Scoglio translates literally as spaghetti of the reef, or spaghetti of the rocks. Scoglio in Italian means a rocky reef or coastal outcrop, and the dish gets its name from the types of seafood traditionally pulled directly from those rocky Mediterranean shores. Clams, mussels, squid, octopus, shrimp, and sometimes cuttlefish, whatever the sea offered that morning found its way into this dish. This was not a recipe invented in a restaurant kitchen. It was born on fishing boats and in coastal homes along the Amalfi Coast, the Bay of Naples, and the shores of Campania in southern Italy. Historical records suggest versions of this dish have existed since at least the late 19th century, though its true origins are almost certainly older. Southern Italian fishermen would cook whatever catch was too small or too mixed to sell at market, combining it with pasta, local tomatoes, garlic, white wine, and olive oil. The result was a dish of extraordinary depth that required almost nothing in the way of formal ingredients, just skill, timing, and respect for the seafood itself. Over decades, this working-class meal became one of the most celebrated dishes in all of Italian coastal cuisine. Today, spaghetti allo Scoglio appears on menus throughout Italy, from beachside trattorias in Sicily to upscale seafood restaurants in Rome. But here is something most people do not know: there is no single official recipe. Every coastal region, every family, every chef has a slightly different interpretation. Some use cherry tomatoes. Some use crushed San Marzano. Some use no tomato at all, creating a Bianco version with just white wine and broth. The dish is a living tradition, not a fixed formula. Main content: let us talk about the actual construction of this dish, because the technique is where most home cooks fall completely apart. A traditional spaghetti allo Scoglio begins with a seafood selection that balances textures and cooking times. You are typically working with a combination of clams, mussels, shrimp or gamberi, squid or calamari, and sometimes cuttlefish. The key ratio most Italian home cooks use is roughly equal parts mollusks to cephalopods to crustaceans by weight, though this shifts depending on availability and season. The first major technical challenge is cleaning. Clams must be purged in cold salted water for at least 2 hours to remove any sand trapped inside. Mussels need their beards removed and their shells scrubbed. Squid requires careful cleaning to remove the transparent quill, the ink sac if you want to preserve it, and the outer skin. Skipping or rushing any of these steps means grit in your finished dish, and nothing destroys the experience of spaghetti allo Scoglio faster than biting into sand. The aromatics begin the dish. A generous pour of high-quality extra virgin olive oil goes into a wide, deep pan, not a saucepan, but a large skillet or sauté pan that gives the seafood room to breathe. Thinly sliced garlic goes in first, cooked over medium heat until it becomes golden and fragrant, never brown. A pinch of dried red chili flakes adds heat. This base is non-negotiable in virtually every version of the dish. But here is what nobody talks about: the order in which the seafood enters the pan is not just a suggestion. It is the entire architecture of the dish. Squid and cuttlefish go in first because they require the longest cooking time to become tender. Then white wine, enough to create a proper braising environment, typically about 150 milliliters for a 4-person portion. Then tomatoes if you are making the Rosso version. Then mussels and clams, which open in roughly 3 to 4 minutes. Then shrimp, which need only 2 to 3 minutes to cook through. Miss this order and you will have rubbery shrimp, undercooked squid, and overcooked mussels all in the same bowl. The pasta component is equally critical. Spaghetti is the traditional choice, though some coastal regions use linguine or even spaghettoni, a thicker version of the strand. The pasta is cooked separately in heavily salted boiling water until about 2 minutes before al dente, then finished directly in the seafood pan. This final 2-minute marriage between pasta and sauce is where the dish transforms. The pasta absorbs the seafood liquor, the wine, the olive oil, and the tomato, and it releases its surface starch, which thickens the entire sauce into something silky and cohesive. If you drain your pasta fully and then pour sauce on top, you have fundamentally misunderstood the dish. Portion control matters too. Professional Italian chefs typically account for roughly 100 grams of dry spaghetti per person, and between 300 and 400 grams of mixed seafood per person. These are not arbitrary numbers. They reflect the balance between the pasta and the sauce, ensuring neither element overwhelms the other. Deep dive: the Bianco versus Rosso debate is one of the great ongoing arguments in Italian coastal cooking. The tomato version, Rosso, is more common in Campania and Sicily, where sweet cherry tomatoes grown near volcanic soil create a sauce of remarkable intensity. The white version, Bianco, is more common along the Ligurian coast and in Venice, where the emphasis falls entirely on the pure brininess of the seafood and the acidity of the wine. Neither version is more authentic than the other. They are regional expressions of the same philosophy. One advanced technique that most home recipes completely ignore is the use of shellfish water. When clams and mussels open in the pan, they release a liquid that is arguably the most concentrated seafood flavor you will ever encounter in a home kitchen. Professional chefs guard this liquid carefully, straining it through a fine mesh to remove any residual grit, then using it as the primary braising liquid for the rest of the dish. This single step, adding that strained shellfish water back into the sauce before the pasta finishes cooking, elevates a good spaghetti allo Scoglio into something genuinely transcendent. The finishing touch is also where many recipes go quietly wrong. This dish does not take Parmesan. Not because of arbitrary rules, but because the sharp, aged dairy flavor of Parmesan actively competes with and masks the delicate oceanic flavors you spent the entire cooking process building. Instead, a final drizzle of raw extra virgin olive oil, a scattering of fresh flat-leaf parsley, and in some versions a small squeeze of lemon over the finished plate, these are the only additions the dish needs. Analysis: what spaghetti allo Scoglio reveals about Italian cooking philosophy is profound. This is a cuisine that was built on poverty, resourcefulness, and an almost obsessive respect for ingredients. The fishermen who invented this dish were not working with premium saffron or imported spices. They were working with what the sea gave them that morning. And the discipline of that constraint produced something that chefs, with access to every ingredient in the world, still struggle to replicate. There is a broader lesson here about cooking in general. Complexity of flavor does not come from complexity of ingredients. It comes from the depth of technique applied to simple, honest ingredients. Spaghetti allo Scoglio has fewer than 12 ingredients in most versions, yet it produces a dish of staggering flavor complexity. Before you go, if you learned something valuable today, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to Flavor Vault for a brand new video every single day. We will see you in the next one.